technical issues because of which we all need to wait it, and not waiting along. Let's start the session. A very good morning to one and all. Respected Dr. Sister M. Rashmi AC, Principal, Patna Women's College Autonomous. Respected Dr. Bhavna Sinha, HOD, Department of MCA, Patna Women's College Autonomous. Honorable Professor Sushil Khanna, Economics and Strategic Management Department, IIM Kolkata, and dearest participants. I, Poonam Ibrahim Lakra, Assistant Professor, Department of MCA, Patna Women's College, welcome you all on 5-day online faculty development program on technology management, an initiative by Department of MCA, Patna Women's College Autonomous, under the AICT scheme and the Atal Academy FDPs. Before we start the day, let's pause for a moment and dwell in prayer by seeking God's blessing and thanking God for gracing this beautiful day of online FDP with your loving presence. God of peace, help us to renew our life by blessing us good health, good heart, and peace in our mind. Amen. Now let's hear a devotional song.
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु
The more light you allow within you, the brighter the world you live in will be. This is the third day of technology management, and to brighten our day, today we have with us Professor Sushil Khanna, Economics and Strategic Management Department, IIM Kolkata. Sir has served for 34 years as the Professor of Economics and Strategic Management at the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata. Before he got retired in 2016, Sir has started his career as an investment banker of First National City Bank, which is now Citibank currently, during 1973 and 76. Of several universities abroad, Sir has taught, including Catholic University, Leuven, Copenhagen Business School, and recently held the chair on corporate responsibility and governance at Leipzig Graduate School of Business, Germany, during 2015 and 16. Professor Khanna has been an independent director of board of some of the India's largest enterprises like National Thermal Power Corporation, Shipping Corporation of India, and Oil India. He is currently a member of board of Kerala Infrastructure Investment Board and assisting Kerala government in restructuring and turning around Kerala State Road Transport Corporate. Currently, he teaches as a visiting professor at IIM Kolkata, IIM Bodh Gaya, and University of Washington, Bothell, Seattle. Professor Khanna's research interests include issues of development economics, industrial policy, and technology transfer and strategic management. Now, may I have the privilege to invite Professor Sushil Khanna to kindly take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Poonamji. Thank you very much. Welcome to all of you. I have taken the trouble of going through your backgrounds, and I see it's a mixed lot of teachers from different departments, different subjects. A very small number is from what we call management studies or business studies. Okay. So we have 3 sessions today, and since the program is on technology, we will touch on technology also, but though I was told to talk about strategy, strategic management, we will talk about technology strategy also after lunch, but after we have introduced the basic concepts of things. Okay. I hope I can keep your interest through the day, because the real introduction of teacher is how well he can hold the attention of his class. All right? All of you are teachers, so you know this challenge. And it's a greater challenge when some of you are at home and attending these lectures. So without much ado, I will begin. Now, this technology with us today allows for two-way discussion. You know, I also use the same Google technology to teach the course at IIM Bodh Gaya, for example. Right now I'm doing that. And both sides can ask questions and talk. As a matter of fact, we have case discussions where a dozen or 2 dozen students simultaneously, one after the other, can talk and so on. So I would be very, very grateful if you are, I'm asking the organizers to allow you to unmute yourself and intervene whenever you feel like, whenever you want to ask a question. In between, I will pause to give you time to ask questions. And if you don't ask me questions, I'll be very disappointed. It will mean that either you're not listening or you're getting bored with my lectures. So I would like to make it as interactive as possible. And as a matter, I would like to begin our discussion with a discussion with all of you. So let me just look at my presentations and start my presentation with you. I have the wrong things going up. Some of you, those who are from a management school, may be familiar with some of the ideas. I still think my way of teaching would be slightly different from the way you have learned it or teach it to your class. And I would like to begin by this. I would like to begin by asking you what you understand by the word strategy. This is a word even everybody uses. You know, we will say Kohli's strategy in the cricket field. Okay. We will say China's strategy in Ladakh. Okay, and so on. So what do we mean by the word strategy? What do you understand by the word strategy? What is strategy? As you can see, the word comes from military science. It comes from, you know, warfare. It doesn't come from business. Yes, sir.
So strategy is planning before executing
It's planning.
some assignment.
Planning. So why not just call it planning? It sounds better if you call it strategy. Anything else? Anybody else?
Sir, this would be planning with keeping in mind the contingencies which might arise. So there may be a plan A, plan B, and choosing the best alternatives, and then march ahead.
Okay, so there are choices to be made. Okay, Alok is saying that. Anybody else? Anybody from other cities, even Patna?
Yes, sir.
Some people are writing on the
Yeah.
chat. I prefer that you speak, but because I can't see both. Yeah, please go ahead. Somebody was talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Planning means method for achieving a particular goal.
Okay, achieving a
Strategy is
particular
a
goal.
plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim.
Okay, it's a long-term action plan and so on and so forth. That's what you are saying. Okay, but by that definition, anything we do, you know, is by a plan. You got up in the morning, you got ready for this class. I was ready, I had my early breakfast, shaved, and everything, and to be ready with this. So that's a plan of action. Am I right? Will we call it anything human beings do is with a purpose, with a plan. So shall we call everything which organization does as strategy?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Strategy has a certain goal, and that goal should be achieved within certain period. And for achieving that goal, we prepare step by step the method, or step by step the process. We develop the process. So the whole thing is known as a strategy.
Okay, we develop Anamika is saying that everything is not as long as we reach the goal. Okay, none of you
Yeah.
are incorrect. None of the whatever you have said is not incorrect. It's not close. It's incomplete in the sense that it's too broad. And I can include everything under it. That's the problem. Okay. When I say strategy, this is strategy. I should be able to say what is not strategy. Are you getting what I'm saying? Is there a plan which is not strategy? Let me put it this way, just to provoke you.
Sir, strategy has long-term perspective. It has a goal. It impacts all functions of business or organization and all levels of organization.
Absolutely correct. But we haven't defined what is strategy. We are saying what is impact. Yeah, please.
I think a strategy is a visualization of the challenges, and our plan how will we tackle them.
Okay.
A strategy is a game plan to win over your competitors.
Okay, but though we call that a competitive strategy definition, but yeah, in a way, yes, we can apply it broadly to strategy. Okay, so if I don't have a competitor, then there will be no strategy. I'm an NGO. Suppose. Okay, I want to help people who are poor. Will I have a strategy? Just to give an example, non-profit organizations. But let me put it this way. But let's go to military science again. You see, there are certain weapons which are called strategic weapons. Okay. When India exploded that bomb in Rajasthan, we call it a strategic explosion. Okay. When if you remember President Reagan, he had something called a Star Wars program. Does anybody know about the Star Wars program? There's a new name for it now. Pentagon has given it a new name. It's called National Missile Defense. NMD it's called now. Earlier it was called Star Wars program. The Star Wars program was, the name given by Pentagon was SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. And what did this plan do? Idea was, as the Russians or Soviet Union, this is in 1980s, Soviet Union still exists, as they will fire their rockets at USA, so there will be satellites and all these space aircrafts which will be positioned and they will identify these missiles and blow them up in the sky before they can reach USA. It takes half an hour, 40 minutes to reach from the Soviet borders to, say, eastern coast of USA. So in 30, 40 minutes, idea was to, okay, people are trying this again. India is also trying. It's called, we try to hit a missile with another missile. Okay. And then Reagan was also the president, if you remember. Some of you may not remember him. I was a young man that time. I just started teaching. He deployed small cruise missiles with atomic bombs on those cruise missiles. These are very small 1 kiloton type bombs, smaller than they threw at Nagasaki. And the idea was that these bombs will go over treetops, over buildings, and they'll just blow up one city in the Eastern Europe, say Budapest.
The screen is not visible.
Hello. And this was called tactical use of atomic weapons. Why is one strategic, other tactical? Both are atomic weapons. Both are atomic warfare, nuclear warfare. One is called SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, and the other one is called
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. So are you sharing some of the PPT, sir?
I have brought it down. I will be sharing it. Here it is. Can you see it now?
Yes. Okay, yes. Yeah, yes, sir.
So we were
Okay,
talking, I brought
yes,
it
sir.
down. So, okay. Are you getting what I'm saying? Is my question clear? It is the same thing. All plans are not strategic. I getting what my question in that sense. We are having a stalemate in Ladakh. You are following all of this. At least that all of you will be following. You may not remember President Reagan and his nuclear weapons. So Chinese have come and occupied certain places where neither they had occupied nor we, but we both used to go up and down doing our patrols, and now they have made a permanent position. And they have been talking. And the last 2-3 weeks ago, Indians have taken some new positions. Are you following this stalemate? And these positions are on a hill which overlooks the structures Chinese have made after March, April, May, or whatever that time. There was nothing there. They made some structures, some camps, and now we have positioned our troops on a higher place which look down on that. Okay. And this in military science is called strategic position. Are we now a little better? Anybody would like to go back to definition of strategy? Am I confusing you more? Huh?
I think so. That was clear to us regarding the definition.
Okay. So in military science, the definition is very clear. It is not so much clear in business. It's not so much clear in football or in cricket and so on and so forth. So in military science, the soldiers want very precise definitions. So the true aim, it says, is not to seek a battle, not to fight, as to seek a strategic situation which is so advantageous that if it does not itself produce the decision, its continuation by a battle is sure to achieve. Why did Indian Army take those positions on the hills? It means either you should go back, we are asking you to go back, or you are vulnerable to our attacks. We are sitting on top and you are sitting below. That is what happened in Kargil. The Pakistanis came and sat on the top of the hills, and below was a road going. Okay, and we had to fight to dislodge them from there. Correct? So Chinese have not fought us. They are pretending we are not fighting. So they have taken a position. We have taken a position which gives us small, very small strategic advantage. I'm saying small because it's a few kilometers. It's a very big border. So in some place near that lake, they have taken a position. Which means Chinese ko bola baat karo. Let's talk now. Okay. Because your positions are vulnerable to our attack. So this is called that without having to fight, without having to attack you. If the Star Wars program had worked for President Reagan, that means my missiles can blow up Moscow or Budapest or whatever, and your missiles cannot reach me. Well, I have that shield, you know, I've got those satellites which will catch a missile and blow it up in the air. While the tactical deployment of atomic weapons and cruise missiles, which will go in, idea was they will blow up a small city, so the radiation effect won't come to our side. Suppose we attack Lahore tomorrow, so more Indians will die than Pakistanis. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, no? Because the wind will bring all the radioactive things into Punjab and Rajasthan and so on. So it's impossible to use atomic weapons between Pakistan and India against each other. You can use it with somebody far away. Otherwise, you get killed also. So to prevent that, in that tactical deployment, the Pentagon decided we put a very small bomb. Khali Budapest ud jayega. And it won't affect Berlin or Paris or London and stuff like that. Okay, which is a foolish idea, of course, but I'm just saying that. But suppose they did attack Budapest, what would happen next? What do you think would happen? Suppose I put a small bomb and blow up one city.
Retaliation?
Yes, immediate retaliation by Soviet Union.
Yes, immediately.
Okay, and they will not attack only Paris or London. They will attack New York straight. Dur, ताकि radiation हमारे ऊपर नहीं आए. Are you getting what I'm saying? If they attack Paris, then the radiation will come into East Europe. So सीधा New York को मारो. Within a few minutes, there will be missiles going. So it is tactical. It doesn't give you anything. It is like a bigger gun in a okay. You know, buffer gun हमारी थोड़ी लंबी है than the guns which the Pakistanis had. Those little things, they give you a small advantage. Or they say कि आपका advantage, I have just neutralized it. So, but strategy is very different. Strategy means a position of advantage against rivals. That is, in military science, of course, the rivals. And military science should be unknown rivals, actually. Not China, Pakistan, etc., etc. Okay, you might have read a few years ago that the Pentagon has a plan to attack India. I wonder if you have read it in the papers. Pentagon has a scenario, how they will attack all our nuclear establishment, how they will attack the larger cantonments and the airfields and stuff like that. Okay. Do you think they are going to fight America? America is going to fight us? Most probably no. But every army in the world has what is called contingency plans. Suppose लड़ाई हो जाए तो क्या होगा? Suppose America fights with us one day. We never thought we'll have to ban Chinese goods and apps and all that. Day before yesterday, we didn't think like that. Okay. So these are scenarios you should have been prepared for. The China, so because we have a long-standing conflict or there's a war in which they beat us very badly. Okay. So these are strategic considerations. Strategy is a position of advantage. When we take it to business, when we take it to organizations, NGOs, it means a position of strength, a position of against uncertainty, against changing markets, against changing technologies, because you're doing a course in technology. Okay, and that dynamics of that as technology changes, I'll be finished. आपको याद होगा, many of you would have. My first phone was Nokia phone. Okay, today Nokia is nowhere in the industry. Okay, so people who are leading at one point of time, how quickly they are replaced. Okay, and how quickly this industry in dynamics changes. Look at the computer industry itself, and so on and so forth. So partly it's technological change, partly it's uncertainty, partly new needs. There are many things which change industries, and we will be discussing this. But so let me begin our proper lecture. This again, some youths, and Chinese are much better, more strategic than Indians are. Okay, they are very clear about it. We don't seem to understand it. We get, we overestimate our strengths and underestimate enemies' strengths and so on and so forth. So he writes, supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance and subduing them without fighting. Okay, so Paul Littleheart, who is a Second World War historian, he's saying such an advantage that one should be able to come to negotiations and end because of the military advantage. Military advantage is not meant to necessarily fight. And similarly happens in industry, similarly happens in companies, similarly happens in technology, and so on and so forth. You don't fight Apple easily. What are the goals? All of you said the idea is to reach our goals, reach goals, and so on and so forth. Okay. So I call certain goals as generic goals. If I ask you what's your goal in life, somebody will say, I want to become a vice chancellor or a teacher, or I'm an assistant professor, I want to become a full professor. Everybody will have that kind of a goal. But nobody will say, my goal is, I want to survive. Will you say that? We don't say it because we know it's common to all of us. All of us want to survive. That's why we're all wearing masks and moving about, trying to survive this pandemic, which is surrounding us. Okay. So survival, and we eat certain things, we do some exercise, we put on a mask, we don't go out of the house. All these are, why are we not talking about it? Because this is generic. Generic means everybody faces what I am facing. Okay. So certain goals in organizations also are generic. And survival is the first goal. Before you can be strong, before you can have a competitive position, you must survive. Okay. And what do you think is the life of a business organization? A company, corporate body? What do you think is their life? What is the life of you and me? I'm close to 70, you know that. Huh? I don't have too much longer. I may have another 10, 20 years maximum. Okay. And some of you are younger, you'll have a lot more time. But what is the life of a human being? Average? 70, 80? And what's the life of a company?
60 years, sir.
What do you say? Sorry, I missed it. Somebody
60 years, sir.
60
years. Yes, sir.
Companies have no life. East India Company still exists. Because companies, the shareholders change, the products can change, It's a fiction. It's a fiction of people who come together and form a corporate body. We give it a legal, the laws of the different countries have given it a legal status as an individual, but companies don't have a life. They're supposed to live forever. Okay. So Nokia still exists. It hasn't died. Okay, Nokia phones are still available. Somebody else owns it. Earlier it was owned by a Finnish company. I also taught in the city. I went to teach at Helsinki School of Business also many years ago. And that time Nokia was the rising star. And they had taken one of the professors from the department to head Singapore. And he used to come to my house, my flat where I was staying, and talk to me how is Asian business and stuff like that. Because he was going to control India from Singapore, the market. So companies have infinite life. But actually companies don't survive. If you look at the companies, top 100 companies in 1991 in India, okay, half of them are not around. Many are not there at all. Some are in public sector also not there. Many in private sector are not there. Okay. The entire software industry, the top 100 companies, Infosys, etc., did not exist. Okay. And that is the year the reform began in India. We opened up the markets and stuff like that. They did not exist till even 2000, if you remember. So these big companies like Wipro, Tata, क्या बोलते हैं, which is their software company, and Infosys and all these companies, Mindtree, they were not there. They all started around 2000, more or less, Y2K, and gave them an opportunity. So, and the older companies have died out. Many business groups have totally collapsed. The house of Birlas has collapsed, except Kumaramangalam Birla, which is one branch. The rest of the Birla families are doing very bad. Companies don't survive easily. Please don't think that that survival is guaranteed. BSNL is struggling to survive. Many public sector companies, even though government won't have seen chances. So what is a strategy? Strategy is again like that, seeking a position of vantage, we call it, in a competitive environment. If you are in a business organization, if you are a non-business organization, non-profit, even then there is competition which threatens your survival. Even as an NGO, it can be your funding. Okay, government has recently changed the law. They are about to change the law last few days. They have introduced a bill in the parliament. It will make many NGOs die out. Okay, and this is a regulatory change in that sense. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not debating into that. What I'm saying is that so that organization has to adapt to it. And those who are dependent on foreign funds face more threats than those NGOs who have local sources of funding. Okay. So this is my ability to survive. My basic goals are what I call, in a way, strategic goals. We divide all managerial decisions into three parts. Okay. So what we call operational decisions, operating decisions, okay, is the first part. I'll explain in little detail. The second we call organizational decisions. Okay, and third is what we call strategy. The entire management science, what we call administration, can be put here in some ways. What are operating decisions? They are the routine decisions about the core operations of an organization. Okay, they are about budgeting, pricing, scheduling, marketing, getting everything organized. Okay, so for Patna Women's College, which is conducting this program, वो कल से last 1 or 2 weeks they have been at this. They are planning. Okay, they are organizing. They are looking at the technology system should work. Okay, they must have got some funding from the government. They have made a budget for it. How much to schedule? Okay, how much to spend on technology, etc. And then they have fixed up a schedule. 10 o'clock we will start lecture. So and so will come in. And today morning they alerted me, sir, this is the link. So these are routine operational decisions. If they had not done this, if any of this was not done, today's class would not have been possible. Okay. So we call them self-generated. If you have to have a class, there is a, and every organization, even the college where you teach, the university where you teach, okay, there are operational decisions, and they absorb 99% of all managers' time, all administration's time. Okay. And they are routine decisions. We are not going to call them strategy. There are goals there. So the whole dispute with the objection I have to your definition of strategy was, not all goals are strategic. Of course, anything you do has goals. Operations have goals. कि आज का class ठीक होना चाहिए. That's the goal of Bhavna ji and others who have really put together this program. Okay. So this goal is what I will call operational goal. It requires a lot of people working together. So Praveen Kumar ji, who was controlling the technology platform, etc., who is recording it. So there are people who are involved to make this schedule happen. Okay. And as I said, they absorb bulk of managerial time. There's a very famous book called What Do Managers Do When They Manage? And 99.99% of all managerial time goes into operational decisions. Okay, because they are self-generated, they force you. The moment an organization has a goal to do something, even if I'm an NGO, okay, my goal is to help people. I run schools, I run night classes, I give shelters to women who are abandoned by their families and stuff like that. Whatever I do, the moment somebody turns up at my doorstep, I have to do something. They are self-generated decisions. They are concerned with efficient and optimal use of resources. Okay. That within the budget, I should meet my targets. Okay. I should not waste resources. I should not overshoot the time and stuff like that, whatever way we want to put it. So these are what we call self-generative. But they are, and all the management we teach also, 99% goes in this. How to make optimal decisions. We teach how to get the finance at the cheapest cost, how to have the marketing distribution at the lowest cost, where to put warehouses. Okay, if I'm a business organization, if I'm a college, also same thing. How to maintain my buildings, how to ensure students can be brought from homes in a bus which is efficient, cheap, which is safe for them and stuff like that. Okay, so these are what I'm calling. Okay. They require efficient use of resources. If you don't make the operational decisions efficiently, you're going to die out. You're going to be vulnerable also. But sometimes doing operations efficiently is not enough to survive. And that is what we are going to discuss. There are certain other challenges which threaten the existence of organizations. The second category of decisions which managers are asked to make, administrators are asked to make, is organizational structure to create the maximum performance potential. Okay. I don't know the structure of Patna Women's College or the college where many of you are teaching, but some places there would be a department. Okay. As people were thanking Bhavna ji, I know she is the head of the MCA, okay, computer applications department. Okay, but is there a dean above it? Below the principal? I don't know. So in my school, there's a director at the top, then there are deans. Okay, and below the deans, there would be departments. In IITs also, somebody has come, there will be a dean of business school, there will be a dean of mechanical engineering, there will be a dean of social sciences and stuff like that, because they do many other things and so on. And then below that will be the department's heads, and then below that will be the hierarchy of professors and so on. So this is the organizational structure. Okay. I will say assistant professor will teach so many hours a week, and professor will teach so much, and they will do this and that. That is all laid out. So this is what we call organizational decisions. We don't change organizations every day. The operational decision we change every day, every moment. There was a delay in the start of this class today because some technology problem was there. Okay. So somebody was deciding what to do about that problem, how to solve it. Okay. And this problem was different from yesterday's problem. So because there are new problems, new things in which I make new decisions, I can change them. But I don't change organization structures. I don't change principal, dean, EO every morning. Okay. Because it creates confusion. Why we can't do it? Because people have certain roles. You know, head of department is supposed to do this. You know, the head of marketing is supposed to do this. Okay. The head of administration is supposed to do such and such thing. And this, if I change it, there's a confusion about the roles. As the organization changes the scope of activities, it will need to make new structures. So suppose I am assuming that Patna Women's College did not have a computer science department, say 30 years ago. I don't know, when they started, 20 years ago. And when they started, they will have to create a new department, a new head, a new dean, something new. Many IITs did not have business school. Patna IIT does not have a business school. Well, Bombay has a business school. So they will, when they decide to have it, they will have to have a budget, they will have to have a head, they will create a new organization, a new kind of teachers will be hired, with new skills and stuff like that, and there will be a dean of the business school. So as I change my scope of activities, I need to change my organization. So पहले 3 दिन थे, अब 4 हो जाएंगे, 6 हो जाएंगे, etc. So as I change my corporate objectives and policies and strategies, I need to change my organizations. I need to change my structure, organization structure. Okay, I need to modify my organization, otherwise nothing happens. Okay, and Other words, as I have a new strategy, I have not yet defined the strategy for you, but assume that strategy affects scope of activities and stuff like that. As an organization has a new strategy, it needs a new organization. There's a very famous book, okay, by American Alfred Chandler Jr. That's supposed to be almost the first book on strategy, written in 1951, 52. Okay. Alfred Chandler Jr. is actually a historian. He's a history professor, economic history professor, a business history professor. And he's looking at the history of American companies over the 100 years. From almost from 1860, 1870 to 1950. Some of those companies have survived 100 years. Okay. Some came around to 1900 and stuff like that. So he looked at the biggest companies in this period. And he looked at how they became big. How did they become big? And he argues that every time they had a new strategy of growth, they needed to change their organizational structures. Okay. So he has a very famous quotation that structure follows strategy. As you change your strategy, you need to change your organization structure. Okay. The divisional structure of organization, which some of you may have heard of, okay, came about by these companies between the two world wars, First World War and between the First and the Second World War. The companies, because they were becoming bigger, they were becoming multi-product. They had many different divisions doing different things, so they had to create this organization. Now let me come to strategic decisions, which is what the objective of this lecture is about, strategy. So strategic decisions are concerned with what is happening outside the organization, the external environment. Because my survival depends on how well I cope with the environment. And with me, if I'm an NGO, my survival depends on how well I can adapt to the new regulations the Modi government is putting into place. Okay. If I'm a business organization, I'll have to look at what is happening to competition, what is happening to technology outside. All operational decisions have to do with what is happening inside the company, inside the organization, inside Patna Women's College, inside IIM, or whichever college that you belong to. Okay, we don't conduct operations on others. We conduct on those people who are under our control, whom we are paying, who are part of our organization. While strategy has to do with external world. Other people threatening my growth, other people taking away my market, other people taking away my customers. So they affect my long-term growth and survival. So the strategic goals are different from operational goals, and this is the point I want to emphasize, that all goals are not strategy. Goals which have to do with external threats, external environment, opportunities, what is happening outside the company's boundaries, what is happening outside the college or the institution. Okay, there is a new education policy. Foreigners will be allowed to come into India, and all these kind of things are going on. How will it affect IITs, IIMs, and all this kind of things? Okay, so those are kinds of things. A strategy calls for allocation of resources. If the environment is changing rapidly, it calls for reallocation of resources. And how much I change my strategy depends on how dynamic is the environment. Okay. If I'm in the telephone business, mobile phone business, or computer business, so 1 year is long term, right? 1 year में नया चिप्स आ जाएगा, नया टेक्नोलॉजी आ जाएगा, 2G, 3G, 4G कितना हो गया है? How many years has it taken? 15, 20 years. So every 3-4 years we are ready for 5G now, which the Chinese are going to control by the way. Okay, because they have been strategic about it. They have thought about it long ago, and they have put resources into it. They have allocated resources. Okay, someday I'll tell you how they did it. Okay, they were behind us in higher education also. They are far ahead of us now. In 10 years' time, only in 10 years. In 1 year, in 3 years' time, they set up 100 new universities. 100 new universities. India has only 150 universities total. 200 साल में, 100 साल में. So they are putting resources there, what they call the technological changes in their economy. So this allocation of resources, without allocation of resources, you don't have a strategy. As a matter of fact, some people call, what is strategy? Strategy is the process of resource allocation. I put money, best managers, best teachers into my new departments, into what I want to grow, where I want to diversify, and so on and so forth. So it calls for reallocation of resources. It seeks to position the firm in its environment, reposition the firm. As the environment changes, I keep repositioning it. So our soldiers were not on the border. They were away. That was a decision. We will not put soldiers on the border. There should be no clashes. Okay. As a matter of fact, the earlier decision was there will be only police. Soldiers, army will not be there with China. So they came. That's why hatapai hui thi. Aapne dekha tha na? Because the decision was not to use guns and arms. Nobody should go to the border with guns. That was the decision. But once people die, things happen and somebody kills them, then I put my guns there. I have reallocated my resources. Because the environment has changed. The earlier environment was peaceful. It said ki na aap aaoge, na hum aayenge. Both of us will stay away. That has changed. Okay, so this strategy is about reallocating resources. The other difficult part is they are not self-generating. Okay, you don't know when to make a new strategy. You don't know the environment has changed. Okay. We in India are still pretending that China वही China है जिससे हमारी दोस्ती 10 साल से चल रही थी. Suppose China के अंदर कुछ change हो गया हो. There will be power dynamics there, no? Just as we have a new government here, they have an internal power structure in the Communist Party and so on. Suppose it has changed. And they have decided India से दोस्ती नहीं करना है. Suppose. It will take us months to absorb that. We are still not absorbed it. We are still assuming आप वापस जाओगे हम जाएंगे. Okay. So these decisions are not self-generating. Nobody tells you when to make them. Okay. Operational decisions are self-generated. So the link is not working and Professor Khanna has to take a class. We should get the technology set. Call the person who has to set this right and stuff like that. They are self-generating. Somebody has to immediately address that problem. Yeah, nothing goes on like the old way. Nobody can tell Patna Women's College that they need a new strategy. They have done very well. Everything looks very nice. It has major resource implications. If China se hamari tension ho gayi, the entire budgets of defense and everything will change forever. But it will affect the long-term direction of an organization. It will change the way we look at our strategic environment. It shapes all operational decisions, of course. Operational decisions क्या है? किसका TikTok app आएगा कि नहीं? वो railways का contract किसको जाएगा? These are all operational decisions. They have nothing to do with the border issue. But they're going to shape it. They're going to affect it. And similar in companies, as companies shift resources, as IIT decides to set up a business school, IIT Patna someday will decide you had somebody from there teaching you. Then they will have to put resources, they will have to, change the organization structure, and that will shape all the operational decisions of the organization. Okay. Strategy is also shaped by the values and expectations of managers and stakeholders. You can't just make strategy in air. Okay. I'll just share with you certain things. And there are certain values of the people who run that organization. And whatever strategy you do must be acceptable to them, to the people who run the companies. The truth is, 1992 May, 93 May, when Manmohan Singh is the finance minister, and India started liberalization, they told IITs and IIMs, कि आप लोग पैसा generate करो अपना. We are going to stop funding you. Okay. So there was a lot of worry especially among the non-teaching staff, that kya hoga, what will happen and stuff like that. I'm just giving you an example about values. And we had a director at the institute who had come from private sector. He was a good man, very nice man, and he was also very worried. I have to give salaries to people. The government has frozen my grant. And government said we are freezing the grant for 5 years, and every 1 rupee that you save from the grant or from your own earnings, we will match it by 1 rupee. So you make a corpus and then you be on your own. Okay. Today IIMs don't take any money from government. They're totally self-sufficient. But this gentleman, I won't take his name, he was very well-meaning. So he went to Delhi and some people met him, some old students of IIM, our alumni met him, and they said, sir, kya baat hai? What is the IIM ko paisa milne ki baat? Jitna mango. Okay. In those days, Doordarshan was the only channel that cable shuru nahi hua tha. So we will do management lessons on Doordarshan, okay, conducted by IIM, and we will have a company which will recruit the students, collect the fees and share with you. And we will conduct the exams and you will set the question paper, you will grade and you will give out the diplomas and degrees and all. He was very happy. They promised him whatever. Our budget tha us zamane mein 5-10 crore kuch tha. They promised him almost double that money, guaranteed every year, sir. He was so happy. He came to the faculty meeting. I have fixed up the problem of money. So what do you think would happen in the faculty? Faculty should have been happy or sad? What is your guess? I'm asking the class the question.
Difficult to comprehend, sir, but more precisely, they may be losing their entitlements.
Huh?
So they would they would be losing out of their entitlements, of course, which was guaranteed by the government agencies. And since it would be based on revenue model, so the impetus to work and the productivity and other things also will be liable to them. So of course, they would be little apprehensive about this entire scheme.
But that was not the thing. Productivity, etc., is not an issue at all. Okay. But let me just give you an example of what really happened. Okay. So there was a halla in the faculty. Because Gali mein IIM ki degree bikegi, and you think the professors of IIM would be happy about it? I mean, we are not NIT or somebody giving out degrees, doing mass, education and all that. We do higher education in a selective manner under certain circumstances. Okay. And the faculty immediately shut it down and had such a jhanga with the director that he never attended a faculty meeting after that. Next few years that he was there, 1.5 years or 2 years. Okay. Because not compatible with the values. We are not in the business of selling degrees to make money. Of course you can do it if you have to do it. That we always knew, that we can charge a fees like private colleges charge. Even today we don't charge those fees. Our fees is very high. Okay, unfortunately, which I am opposed to. But we can, there are many other ways of doing this without selling degrees. And that is what happened IIMs. If IIMs made money, we are more self-sufficient than IITs are. All the IIMs made money by what we call executive education, where we don't give any degree. We teach you, we don't give any degree. Like the faculty development program. Aapko ek certificate milega. You know, that kind of a thing. Shekhar, I'm teaching, I'll talk to you later. Sorry about it. So, let me continue my lecture. So, values are very important. What you can do in public sector, private sector cannot do in public sector. Okay, in public sector, pleasing the boss is like the, in private sector, pleasing the boss, promotion dega is the done thing. In public sector, अगर आप please करोगे बोलेगा चमचा है. If a faculty member also in IIT or IIM is always in director's room, sir karega to bolenge to chamcha director. You are not supposed to do this. The culture of the place doesn't ask you to do it. Who makes strategy? Strategy is made by the owner of the company, the owner of the college, the entrepreneur, if you have it, or the top management. Because we are a public institution, not private institution. Okay, that's why I have never worked for a private institution, except my first job. Okay, and after retirement also I got many offers, but I don't do this, okay, easily. It is made by what we call top management. The senior people, the senior faculty members, or the senior principal and deans and stuff like that. In a college, in a company which doesn't have owners, which have wide dispersed ownership, it's made by the senior managers, the board of directors. Okay. Or if it's a company by Mr. Adani, Mr. Ambani, then they will make the decisions. Okay. So strategic decisions are entrepreneurs' decisions, owners' decisions, while managers' decisions are about operations. We also say that managers, who is a manager? Manager whose job is to use the resources given to him efficiently, optimally. And and the strategy is made by entrepreneur, the owner, the Lalaji, whatever you want to call him, etc. etc. He who calls the shots. Okay. In public institutions, there are no Lalaji, no owner. The whole country is the owner of, let's say, IITs or IIMs or Patna College also in a way. It's a trust, it's a church-run organization. It's a trust which runs it. Okay, it is not the private property of the principal or the bishop or the dean or whoever it is. You know. So it's a collective ownership in some sense, and that gives it a very different. And because collective ownership, it means many other people, senior people also get involved in making the key decisions. So what is the strategic question that we ask when we talk about strategy? So I'm going to emphasize what we have learned so far, and I'll stop here for a minute. We have learned that there are different kinds of decisions and different kinds of goals, different kinds of plans. Only some are strategic, others are operational, others are organizational. Okay. And we want to make this distinction between strategic and operational. The bulk of the time goes in operations, doing things efficiently, doing things optimally, which is not enough sometimes to survive. Why? Because the environment changes. Because environment has got new technology. Environment has got new things. Okay. Customer tastes have changed. You know why Nokia lost the market in India, which was the biggest market, one of the biggest markets? The Indians want dual SIM. So, 2-3 SIM hote hain. Some phones have 4 SIMs. Okay. We give some SIM to our family, some to our customers, and stuff like that. You know, we don't want to share our numbers. That's why India has more than 1 billion SIMs out. You know, 1 billion people don't have phones in India, but SIMs are more. And Nokia never had a dual SIM. I have this phone, iPhone I use. It also doesn't have a dual SIM. And every other phone has a dual SIM. And one reason for them to lose the market was dual SIM issue. That the new Chinese phones, other phones that came, were dual SIM. And the customers' needs were not met. So environment has changed. There are other competitors offering things which you are not able to offer, not able to match. So as the environment changes, my old position, my strong position in the marketplace gets threatened and then begins to erode very quickly. It can erode because of new technology also. We will do it in the afternoon when we talk about technology management. So what is the purpose and objective of my organization? Where do we want to go? What is the purpose of Patna Women's College? What is the purpose of IIM? What is the purpose of the college that you are? The purpose of our college is not to make profits. That's why the director's suggestions were shut down. We want to be self-sufficient. Okay, IIM Calcutta now sits on 300-400 crores of corpus. But in the 90s, we didn't have anything. We started, and I was part of that journey to run executive education, to charge companies to send people to us. We also do online programs, some on campus, some on online, and we charge a lot of money. Those are things are low. But we don't give any diplomas, don't give any certificates. We only give certificates of participation. We don't have exams. So we don't know how good you are. Okay, so that is, and people in the market know that this is very different certificate from the diploma, the MBA degree that we give. So I have kept my product separate from what earns me money. We also make money from consulting. If I do a consulting project, the institute will take half the money. So if I get 2 lakh rupees, 1 lakh will go first to the institute. Within 1 lakh, I'll have to make my expenses. And if anything is left, it belongs to me. And that's another source of income to the institute. What is the purpose? The purpose is higher education, research. Purpose is not to make money. Okay. It just so happened that we were asked to become self-sufficient. We would have been happy if government paid everybody's salary. And the fees was, when I studied, the fees was 500 rupees a year. And I have a low-paying job. Our professor ki salary badh gayi hai. But till the 90s, the salaries are very low. Okay. Total take-home salary was about 20,000 rupees as a professor when I became a professor. And it was difficult to run a household on that. So I would not be able to afford a fees like I am as today for my son. That was my objection to raising the fees. Okay. But then the institute gives you a loan, the institute waives the fees, and so on and so forth. Okay. So what are the critical environment factors? So since all threats come from outside the organization, what is happening to the environment? What is happening to the That's crucial. Okay. And remember, most people spend all the time talking about what is happening inside the organization. They don't look at outside. They don't have time. Because operational decisions take up all their time. In 99 ke bajaye 100%. So where is the organization going presently? Which direction are we going? What can be done to organize the objective more effectively in the future? As the environment is changing, as foreign investors will be coming to India, okay, as the government is now having a 3-year, 4-year degree and all this kind of a thing, how will it impact my education system and stuff like that? So I have to assess that environment as this thing. So what is my long-term vision and goal? So as John was, I was differing with Alok John, the difference in the faculty with the director was about the vision. Vision is what we stand for, what we believe in. It is not a goal. It is, हम क्या हैं? हम अध्यापक क्यों बन गए? I gave up a very lucrative job in an investment banking house, in a foreign company. Okay, when I came, my salary was double that of director of the institute. And I came as a research fellow at a very low salary and stuff like that to study more, to do my PhD. So there has to be a vision. There is something you believe in, some aspiration you have. Okay. So what is the long-term vision of your organization? What is the long-term vision of the Indian Army? What is the long-term vision of Kohli's cricket team and stuff like that? Okay. What do we stand for? What kind of, okay, are we going to be known? And then I set my goals where I want to go. How do I cope with the environmental changes? Okay, new education policy aa rahi hai, how do I cope with it? I'm giving you examples from, I can give you examples from business also as much as, okay. Yeah, the government has new rules. It is other countries are dumping products because unka bik nahi raha hai. How do we do? Other countries are putting pressure on us. You open up your markets. President Trump has been threatening us. He has taken away certain benefits India used to enjoy. He's saying you don't allow my apples and all these things to come to India. You open up the market. You don't allow my food grain to come to India. Okay, etc. So how to cope with competition? Who are the new people coming in? How do I cope with the competition? And given the competitive landscape, what position should I seek? Given this, what is happening globally, what position should India, Indian Army seek? Given my business, Now, what position should I see? I'm in the car business. I'm in the automobile business. So there's a new technology coming in, electric cars. Okay, it is very clear that within 20, 30 years, this kind of cars will be gone. Okay, there's a massive technological change coming about, and the governments are pushing for it. Even if it's more expensive, they will shove it down, and that will bring the cost down. So if I can do it early, will I be the first one to go in? Will I wait for electric car? बन जाए किसी की तब देखेंगे. All these are crucial strategic decisions. Do I enter now? Do I enter later in electric car market? Which product markets to enter? When? Should I diversify? Should I stop making cars and make scooters? The electric scooter तो already आ गया है. So this kind of issues. What's happening? I've done something. Okay. Corporate strategy. I'm sorry, you can't see that. Let me take you the modern one. So, what is strategy? A definition. This is a textbook definition. Is the direction and scope of an organization. Direction means what you believe in, where you want to go. Scope means what are the kind of activities do you do? As a college, how many courses do you teach? Okay. Are you also only science, or do you do science and humanities? Do you do computer science and mechanical engineering? Or that is the scope of the activities of the organization over the long term. So IIM Calcutta does only business. It is not diversified. IITs are diversified more than us. So what does it do over the long term? Where will we go in the long term? And this direction where we go should match this environment to my resources. Everybody can't do everything, no? In particular, it's markets, customers and clients, so as to meet stakeholders' expectations. And who are the stakeholders in a college? That's the faculty, the students, the alumni. These are the stakeholders who are affected by it. Okay. Who are the stakeholders in a company? Managers, employees, whose job will go off. The state government, which gets part of the taxes, sales tax, and other, what they call it, GST, okay, and so on and so forth. So there are other stakeholders, consumers are stakeholders, and all that. So how to meet the expectation over the long run, matching my resources to its environment, but the challenge comes from the environment. What is happening outside? What is happening? That is the starting point. This is a definition by somebody who's actually a consultant. He's the head of the Boston Consulting Group. So he's saying all competitors will persist over time. All competitors, all companies, all organizations who survive over time must maintain a unique advantage by differentiation over all others. Managing the difference is the essence of strategy. All of you following climate change, you know how climate is changing and why we are worried and so on. But all of you also know how mankind has been killing other species, every hour we finish 1 or 2 species on the earth. And we have been doing it for now more than several hundred years. Okay, certain trees, certain animals don't exist anymore. Okay, we are finishing them off. And large numbers we don't even know we are finishing them off. But the man has survived. He's multiplied. He's become billions of people on the earth. Okay. Earlier there were animals who were billions and men were very small. Now the man has survived. So man is smarter, being able to adapt to the environment. In this new environment where people are making concrete buildings and so on, the animals and insects and other species are not able to survive. Okay, so they are dying out. All right. So this different. Why are we are different from them? So this differentiation has so far kept us going. But if we are foolish and the climate changes take place, even mankind will be over. Okay, etc. So strategy is about positioning. I'm sorry about the color. It's yellow. But the positioning in the firm in its competitive environment. This Porter's definition, we will look at that definition after the break a little more. Okay. In its competitive, where do you stand? Where do you sit? Like the army is positioning, I told you. Okay. In its competitive environment. Okay. How do I position my forces? How do I position my guns? Okay. So that I shouldn't have to fight. That's the objective. So positioning also means I shouldn't have to really worry about competitors. I should be powerful enough to be able to face their challenge. So a unique position which others will find difficult to imitate, copy. Okay. So the Chinese will also like to copy the same position. No? Suppose they could go even higher than us. So our advantage khatam. Right? But they will find it difficult. Right? Same in companies. We know people find difficult to imitate. There are so many private engineering colleges. There are so many private management schools. They don't become IITs or IIMs. Because it's very difficult to copy. So many people used to ask me, sir, the course outline de dijiye. It's written on our websites. By copying the course outline, you don't become an IIT. No. You understand? MIT has put all its courses on the website. You can do the courses yourself, free. Okay. So this unique position people find difficult to imitate. Imitation is the crux of it. If others can copy you, then our advantage khatam ho gaya. So if others can do what you are doing, then there is no. So it should be something which is difficult to copy. So how should the firm position itself? How should the organization position itself to compete? What should be the basis of its advantage, competitive advantage? Okay. How should the firm organize itself, systems and structure internally? That's very important. Okay. How should the firm position itself and what should be the basis of its competitive advantage? How will IITs compete with foreign universities coming to India? Okay. What will happen to the private colleges? So I think they will be more vulnerable. They will be more threatened. Many are closing down this year. No? Many private colleges, both in engineering management, are closing down. Partly because of COVID impact, but partly because of decline in the economic activity. The economy is shrinking very rapidly. Okay. And if I have to really compete, how should I organize inside my organization? How many departments should I have? Okay, how many should I have a dean? How should I get the funding? Should I charge everybody fees high? Or should I try to get good people to send their children to my college without fees? Which many colleges do. They try to get good students, uska fees maaf. If they are good students, then they will bring other good students with them. So they want to raise the level of their students. It is a way of seeking higher profitability. We call it economic rents, higher average economic returns. Economic theory says you cannot get higher returns. No, competition se barabar ho jata hai. That's what we learn in economics. Okay, but no managers don't believe it. There are companies. If you look at the business standard list of companies and their profitability, you will see some companies are a lot more profitable than others. All IT companies are a lot more profitable than people making scooters and cement and stuff like that. Okay. So there is a strategic management is also a framework for resource allocation. Where will I put my best people? Where will I put research money? Okay. Where will I put my new building and stuff like that? We are calling it resource allocation process. It's a guide for regarding management and organization and so on. Do we have any questions? I will stop the presentation here. There are some more slides, but since we are running out of time, so before we take a break for tea and coffee, do you have any questions? I'd be happy to take few questions from you. I can see a lot more people have joined in, but I would like people from other cities other than Patna to speak. If you can, did you follow? Do you want me to continue like this? Do you want me to do it some other way? I'm open to suggestions.
Sir, I think this interactive session is really awesome, and I think all the participants also agree on this. And if anybody has any question, you can
Speak for themselves. Give them a chance.
Yes, sir, surely.
Give them a minute or two, just to give them a couple of minutes.
Yes, sir.
There are lots of people from other cities. I would like them to.
Yes, sir. Surely, sir. Surely. Participants, if you have any thought process that is there in your mind, kindly share with the sir. And post this, we'll take a short tea break for 30 minutes, and then we'll come around 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock, we start on
Yes.
my next presentation. Yeah. Okay. If you have no questions, then we will begin our break. But if you have questions, I am here for another 1 minute. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Dear participants, let's take a break for 30 minutes, and we'll come around 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.